Hey guys, welcome back to Maybe Someday. Today we're talking about really cheap but really cool ways to light your scenes. Hey Siri, turn the lights on.
Okay.
Wow, that's really cool. When I first got started in filmmaking, one of the really intimidating factors was just how expensive a good lighting kit was. And that's definitely come down over the last few years, but you're still going to be spending anywhere from $500 to $1,000 on one really solid light. Except when it comes to these guys. So paper lanterns, obviously super lightweight and just such an affordable way to get really soft, beautiful light on your subjects. I know a lot of DPs who will pack these in their kit, even if they have like a full fleet of grip and lighting trucks, just because they pack down so small and they just work so dang good. So here's the basics of how you set them up. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna need is obviously a paper lantern. I mean, that's kind of a given. But a light bulb socket's got a AC cable attached, a dimmer plug, and then just a regular 100-watt light bulb. So plug everything in and then suspend your socket from either a C-stand, or you can tape it to the ceiling, or whatever you got at your disposal. Then screw your light bulb in. So yeah, maybe go ahead and suspend the socket, but just don't plug anything in yet. And then turn it off just to be safe. Then screw the light bulb in. And then slide your paper lantern into the mix and hook it up to the convenient little cable latch thingy that they all come with. And voila. Okay, so here's how I did our first little setup. We got one basically hitting Justin as a key to the front left of him. And then we have two kind of acting as kickers in the background. But I mean, go ahead and play around with placement of these and just have fun with it. And this is what it looks like through the camera with this setup. And as you can see, we get a really nice eye light here too. So sometimes I'll have everything lit with other, more expensive lights, and I'll just pop a paper lantern up just so we get a nice little eye light where I want it. And then of course, if you have the dimmer attached, you can just dial things in exactly the way you want it to look. So this next setup is basically just a variation of the first one. So instead of a white paper lantern, we're going to use these colored ones. And I found this whole set for $10 on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description below. And it basically eliminates the need for gels. So if you want to add a funky color to your subject or into the background or something. And the cool thing is that these can play as practicals as well. You can have some in the background or in the foreground and you can actually see them, and they're a believable practical light source in your scene. So for this setup, I just kind of threw one that was pretty close to tungsten looking as my key, and then I balanced my camera accordingly. Then I threw a blue one and a red one in the background to kind of just show how nice the color actually comes through. And so as you can see through the camera, like, the result is actually pretty awesome. I mean, normally you'd have to get some gels and put them on nicer lights or use colored LEDs to get this kind of a result. But I mean, this whole setup is less than $100 and it looks pretty good. Do it again.
Hey Tay, if you're watching this, I love you, man. I'll see you sometime. Come visit me in the woods.
Whatever that means. And then of course, if you have the dimmer in the mix, you can really play with the intensity of things and just get things to look exactly the way you want them to, which is awesome. And this is just with 3 of the ones that we got. So I mean, you can throw as many of these as you want in the mix and just get creative with how you play with the color. Okay, so this last setup is the most expensive of the 3, but it's still a very affordable way to light things. You're gonna need a paper lantern, of course. You're gonna want this Philips Hue starter pack, and make sure you get the RGB ones and not the bicolor ones. And of course the light socket, but you won't need a dimmer for this setup. So the awesome thing about this Philips set is it comes with 4 bulbs and the hub that you need. But the downside is that you do need to have Wi-Fi where you're shooting. There's actually very few times where I found myself in a situation where I couldn't find Wi-Fi to plug in, but that's when you just bust out the colored paper lantern kit. It's a good idea to number each bulb or name it so that you know which one's where. In my case, I decided to name them after famous hues. So the first time you get these, I recommend you set it up at home or at your studio or your office or whatever, just so that you're not showing up and tinkering with things at the location while everyone's waiting for you. But the first thing you need to do when you get to set is plug in the bridge, and it comes with everything you need to do that. And then the cool thing about this is once it's all set up, you can access everything from your phone or your tablet. So you can adjust the intensity. You can adjust the RGB or color temperature. And the nice thing is you can be standing in front of your monitor watching the results change right on the screen, which is so handy. So I've got everything set up the exact same way as before with the paper lanterns. It's just that now we got the Philips Hue bulbs in there. And then if we walk over to the monitor and I pull up my phone, I can actually watch the image change on the screen as I adjust the color temperature until it gets exactly the way I want it to be. Like, this is such a killer feature. So another small thing I noticed when I first fired these up is that at 1/48th shutter you get this weird sort of flicker pattern. But the good news is if you switch to 1/50th of a second or 1/100th or 1/500th or 1/1000th if you're shooting slow motion, it does go away. So that's good news. So you can kind of use these like this in the paper lanterns if you want. A lot of times I actually use them as practicals in a scene. So I'll go around the house and take out any light bulbs that are going to be in the shot and I'll replace them with the Philips ones, and then that way I can actually dial things in exactly the way I want them to look while we're shooting, rather than have to set up dimmers and all that kind of stuff. So this is what it looks like through the camera. And then, like I mentioned before, you can be looking at the monitor and have your phone out and just dial each light into the exact color temperature or RGB value that you want. And you can just watch the screen, and you know, when you are happy with the way it looks, you just move on to the next bulb. And then what I think one of the coolest features of this is if you have an Apple device, you can use Siri to control the lights. So for example, hey Siri, turn the lights white. Hey Siri, turn all the lights red. Hey Siri, turn all the lights green. Hey Siri, turn all the lights blue. So you can use Siri to tell your lights what to do. If you're operating the camera, you can keep your hands free. And I've actually used this in the real world many times. For example, we recently did this shot where we had a guy doing an exorcism in a house. And as he entered the room, I asked Siri to turn the lights red. And it just had this really cool effect for the scene. And that kind of segues nicely to my last point, which is that all the stuff we've been playing with today is stuff that you could actually show up to set with. You wouldn't have to worry about looking like a cheap ass or something. This is stuff that real cinematographers use on real sets all the time. People are actually going to be blown away by the results that you'll get with them if you use them well. One thing I almost forgot to mention is how awesome these Philips lights are for your home. We've got them at our place, and for example, when it knows that we're coming home, it'll turn on the porch lights for us at night, which is creepy for sure, but also pretty cool. And I was actually scrolling on Instagram this morning and I saw my friend Kat had been editing a music video where they used these as the mics in the mic stands, and it just had such a kick-ass look. So all that's to say is you can get really creative with a low budget lighting solution and the results will still be awesome. So if you got something out of this video, I'd love for you to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and share the video if you think that there's something that your friends could benefit from seeing in this video, or if there's something that you really enjoyed about it. Otherwise, that's it for me for this one, and I'll see you on the next one. Hey Siri, turn the lights off.
I'm really trying to keep an eye on how you do this because I'm so curious to see the end product. What, you know, how much you do to make the editing join together for your.
Yeah, I'll probably have to shoot a lot more tomorrow.